Hey, David T.S. Wood here at my home in beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia. Welcome to my Extra Mile. I'm so excited about this conversation today. These two, what can I say, extraordinary. They have the ultimate dream life they've created. On the verge of bankruptcy, living in a tiny community, to a global empire, and their lessons, their philosophies. I mean, we cover such a range of subjects, and truly each one you could take one small thing, apply it to your life, have a radical shift in your life. So enjoy the show, listen to the whole thing. Please join me on Instagram and Facebook at David T.S. Wood. Get involved with the conversation. So please comment and to subscribe. Share this with your friends. Let's get more people involved in the community. Enjoy the show with the incredible Warren and Arlene Lance, and we'll definitely see you on the other side. I'm really excited about this, chatting with you two. You know, we're great friends. When I go back in our history when we first met, I think about, Warren, you're $1 million in debt. You both are, not just Warren, but $250,000 on credit cards. But you were a master of moving money from one, I know it's illegal, we probably shouldn't talk about it, but moving money from one credit card to another to survive. You were playing this eternal game of business chess. But more importantly, you were a conventional business owner who'd been in business, I think, 12 years, if I remember rightly. And you were sort of drowning in debt, primarily because of it. What happens is change. The Chinese market, you had a clothing company, and the Chinese were dominating and taking over and producing products and swamping the markets and sort of really drowning you out of business. But as a conventional business owner with 3 children, and home and bills, you were just fighting to survive. And Arlene, you were a teacher at the time. I'm going to come to you in a second, but Warren, I just want to sort of capture that feeling, because so many people right now, we're recording during COVID, and I don't want this to be about COVID. I just know that there's massive change in people's lives. And here you are going back to that. I mean, that was, you were living your own COVID back then, Matt, buddy. I mean, everything you knew. And I remember I met you as a business consultant, coming into your home and your business and just watching you 12, 13-hour days, 14-hour days, not seeing the family, and just attempting to survive in your business that you'd have for 12 years. Can you explain just to people listening, so that what was the internal feeling? What were you feeling as you woke up each morning? What was the pressure that you were feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I had the noose around my neck, and I was fighting to survive. I mean, it was challenging times, but I guess the fuel that really drove me was my beautiful wife and my 3 boys, right? Like, there's no way I could allow myself to fail. Like, failure was not an option. And it seemed like, yes, I mean, I got creative to making payroll. I mean, you had 13 staff, and I had responsibilities I felt to them and their families, didn't want to let them down. And it was a massive, massive struggle. And it was just like, come hell or high water, I'd do whatever it takes to survive. And I can remember,
Go on.
I can remember the day when you and I were chatting, and you're going, Warren, like, you need to shut this thing down, cut your losses and move on. Because like, where we were, as you mentioned, the industry, the Chinese were flooding the market, and it was just, I needed to move on. It was the healthiest thing for me, but that decision, probably the most difficult decision of my lifetime. And I probably should have gone bankrupt. I chose not to. I negotiated and paid out my suppliers and the different credit card companies. I mean, I believe I took the high road. I can remember RBC, the financial person I was working with was going, Warren, just go bankrupt. Like, just go bankrupt and move on. And it was like, no way, I'm not doing that. And
pride, ego, lots of things get involved in that, right? You don't want to feel like you're failing, but we also know that over the years we've learned what that word failure means too, and that each time you fail in life, you move forward, you learn. It's not really failure. You're actually just building your war chest of knowledge and learning and knowing how to take that next step. So I think you did a lot of that where you were just, you didn't want to, go backwards. But we look at ourselves today, and I see that all the time, Warren, where all the things that you learned on that journey have served you tenfold in the 15 years after that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a blessing in disguise.
Well, that was the concept. I just want to sort of lay that down, that failing forward, which when we say it and people read it, sometimes it's hard to internalize and actually realize what that means. What you've done together is you lived it. And Warren, because you were a conventional business owner, and some people on the call right now are conventional business owners who are watching this show, and what they're in the business and consumed by the business. And we know statistically, the failure rate in conventional business is so high over a 5 to 10 year period. And like you were just like in the canoe and you were bailing this thing out week after week, month after month, not knowing that there was really other options. And I really love, when you said about, you weren't going to go bankrupt. First of all, if you have gone bankrupt, I mean, Walt Disney went bankrupt 7 times. So it's not that bankrupt is an ultimate failure or anything like that. It is something that you can do. But Warren, there was this belief that you had that, you would be able to take these clothes that you had in your warehouse, throw them in the back of the car, you were peddling them on the side of the road saying, guess what? I want to look after all these people that have been loyal to you, your staff and the people, and you didn't want anyone to get hurt is part of why you drove to not go bankrupt, right?
Yeah, of course, 100%. And I mean, it was challenging times, and I'll just say what a blessing that during all that, I got introduced to the profession of network marketing. And huge blessing. I never dreamt it was going to turn out the way it did, but oh my goodness.
Well, I suppose we better give that context, because if someone's listening right now, they have no idea about your story. So you have Arlene as a school teacher in a small rural, I mean, Nanaimo is not a big city. She loves her job. She loved teaching. She's, anyone who knows you, Arlene, would probably call you an angel or something like it. That these kids that were being taught by you were really lucky to have a teacher like you. And you did with the same with your own children. You just have that really beautiful gift of really helping to grow young minds. But Warren, with this sort of time frame where, today, if we could look at these last 15 years, we said that you were $1 million in debt, $250,000 on your credit card and drowning. What's been your cumulative income since you entered the profession of network marketing?
So blessed to have earned in excess of $10 million.
Right. And remember, the 10 million has moved from, the first year. Do you remember what you earned the first year when you were like still peddling stuff out of your car?
I don't remember the numbers the first year. I think my first check that I received was about $25, and it was really cool. We got the check in the mail. It was like, whoa. And I didn't feel like I did anything. And as it grew, I mean, it was getting $150 a week in the mail. And it was sort of like I know what work is. That's getting up at 6 a.m, getting home at 8 p.m, back on the computer in the evening. And then all of a sudden in this profession, I was passionate about the products because of our product experience. And we just started sharing it with friends and family. And it just started to evolve. And it was like, when I hit finally about $4,000 a month or 3,000 US coming in, 4,000 Canadian, it was time out. Like, I need to figure this thing out. Like there's something going on here. I know what work is, and it doesn't seem like I'm doing my concept of work, yet there's this money coming in, and I'm going, I need to figure this out.
And that's a beautiful thing, because I could take that right back to my years of teaching. When you're doing something that you're passionate about and that you love, it never feels like you're going to work. Right. Like Warren says that all the time now. I told him just the other day, I said, you should really, keep track in your calendar the number of hours, the number of calls that you do in a day, because he never feels like he's working. I'm like, you're always working. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter if we're in Kelowna or back in the day when we could travel around the world. You're always willing to take that call, but it never feels like work, because it always feels like you're just serving other people and making their world a better place. So,
well, but if I go back though, Warren, to that early stage, Arlene's income was, you were going through this kind of the sort of liquidation of one company and starting to build your network marketing business. So Arlene was the sort of the stable, that stable income. So when you talked about that 3,000, if I remember rightly, and remember, we haven't pre-talked this. This is something from my own memory. Is that 3,000? There was a number you had that was just about you surviving and paying the bills. And I believe that with the combination of Arlene's income from school and the 3,000 was kind of that nut that you had to. Was that right?
Yeah, it was like, okay, we're breathing, like my head's above water.
Right. Arlene, what was it like? We talk about belief now and being passionate now. In the early days, when most people listening, if they are thinking about joining a network marketing company, if they are considering having a plan B, any of these things going through their head, I mean, when you enter a new profession, regardless, I mean, if someone started Warren's profession or your profession as a teacher, there's going to be those 2, 3, 4, 5 years of learning curve that has to go into becoming great at something. But in the beginning, were you a believer or were you in survival mode? I mean, did you, and I know you loved the products and because you saw the results, but I mean, we can't say this is an easy profession. We can say it's a simple profession, but we can't say it's easy. Do you remember how hard it was for Warren? Because he wasn't necessarily a natural network marketer, right?
But I can also relate it to my first day of walking into my first classroom and teaching too. You know, you're nervous, you're messy. You know, it would take me hours, like it would take me seriously like 6 hours to plan my next day of teaching. And some of those lessons were maybe 15 minutes long, but it might take me an hour to prep it. So, you know, it's the same with network marketing. You have to put the time in to learn and grow and practice. And it's not always pretty at first, but as you do it again and again and again, and you're consistent, you know, you just evolve and it becomes easier and easier. So it's like when my last day of teaching, because now I'm retired, it's like you could have just put me into a classroom and just said, here, teach this class for the day. We're not going to give you any planning time. And I could have just done it. And, you know, the same thing in network marketing now. Warren just walks around in his life just doing what he does. And he doesn't even feel like he's working because it's just so natural to him.
It's who I've become.
That's right. And it takes time. But isn't it beautiful that in the world of network marketing, you can get started and learn and make a little money as you go along. And the more time you put in and the better that you get, the more money you're going to earn along the journey. Whereas when I was going into teaching, I mean, nobody paid me anything while I went to university. My income, I was just putting it out into the university. Nothing was coming back to me. So that's a pretty cool part of network marketing, is that you can earn as you learn.
Earn as you learn. And Warren, you know, I know we talked we had a couple of minutes right before the call, because I suppose when I started out, I may have spent an hour or two preparing for a call, and now, you know, we may spend 30 seconds. But, you know, the idea, there's a saying that, in fact, the very first time I met you, we were at a personal development event called Warrior Camp, and over in British Columbia here. And I remember one of the concepts that was taught there was ready, fire, aim. And the concept is, you know, ready and then jump into action. And then along the way, you're sort of you're aiming the sight, you know, so you've already fired, you're aiming that sight. And you really talked about that. You were in it for 3 years before you said, hey, whoa, let's time out for a second here. And let's really sort of start to master and understand and refine and understand the nuances. Why do you think it is that, regardless of this profession, we could take any profession on the planet, but we could take anything new, why so many people spend so much time getting ready to get ready, to get ready, to get ready without pulling the trigger and then learning as they go? It's almost like, I want to know it all before I start. Why? And in your experience, having now trained tens of thousands of people all over the world, the two of you, you know, how detrimental is it for you to sort of, you know, wanting to have all the answers before you actually pull the trigger?
I think it's the human psyche. I think a little bit, I don't know, for some reason, I have a little bit of a flaw, because so many people are caught up in what other people think of you. What is the neighbor going to think of you? What are your parents going to think of you? What is whoever going to think of you? And a little bit, I'm pretty strong with who I am. I know that I never want to hurt anyone. I'm really from a place of making a difference in people's lives. That's what fuels me. So I'm not, for whatever reason, I've never really been caught up in what other people think of me. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back, is because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. They're afraid of, and my thing is I'm coming with best intentions. It may not come out eloquently, as you said. I mean, I was more than a little disaster in the early days, yet I just started doing it. I got into action and I evolved over time.
I think that was beautiful, that your intention was always from the right place, even though it was messy maybe at the beginning. Yeah. And so now you've been able to put heart and intention together.
Yeah.
That's a good combo. Warren, I'm just going to mention something. With you're so passionate with your hands, every time you hit the table, it comes through the mic. So no, that's fine. It's fine. I just want to let you know it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, but you know, you said that, and I want to challenge you on this thought process, because I remember at Warrior Camp we did an exercise where we had to formally decommit from things. And I don't know why I remember so clearly conversations we had it was 17 years ago, wasn't it? 18 years ago. But I think there was a part of you that did care what people think, and part of you about not letting the business go, and about how the hardest thing for you was, you know, letting that go. So there was a part of that, but I think in different areas that, you know, when it comes to you learning something and growing something and in the trenches and being a disaster, you're not consumed by that. But there was this part of you back then that was sort of trying to balance all these plates, not only for you, but it was the perception of your parents. It wasn't your mother. It was the perception of your different things. And there was a part of you that you were almost like, I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody in your past. You were like, screw you, man, I'm going to succeed. It's like the greatest revenge is success. And there was a part of you that wanted so badly. So I just want to say to someone listening, I think that was a muscle you've developed even more, this ability to not, and I want to be careful how we say it. It's not that you don't care. You care about people. You're just not consumed by the thoughts of people about you. So you care about people, you just don't care what they think, but you deeply care about people. There's a nuance there, right?
Yes, 100%. And I do care like what people think, but it's not to the point where it paralyzes me. So many people from around the globe, I don't care whether you're from North America, you're from Europe, you're from Australia, because as you know, I have this global team and I work with people, different cultures, different backgrounds, but it's human nature where this fear or this concern about saying the wrong thing and all this. And again, coming back to it, I had good intentions. I know I was trying to impact lives. I know I was trying to make a difference. So if it didn't come out quite right, it was okay with me.
Yeah, yeah. Arlene, you didn't want to leave teaching. You loved teaching. And I actually believe there was a part where, you know, you weren't actually, I don't know. I just remember, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. What was that journey like for you to watch Warren, you know, start something new, be an absolute disaster? Really, he fought his way through it, but then he started to link arms with people, and great people who started to mentor with him and show him and help him refine. He was reaching out for help. He was doing a lot of the right things, because this is what's beautiful about this profession, is you're not doing it by yourself. You're doing it with a team, and you can model, you can ask for help. But was there resistance for you to let go of your career and then step into this new life? Because you've been programmed by your past to go to school, learn to become a teacher, build your reputation as a teacher, become an extraordinary teacher. And then somehow at one point you're thinking about, well, I can let this go and I can just sort of step back into this whole new world. How hard was that for you?
I think one of the things that I'll just add to that piece of, you know, that piece that comes from the way you were brought up as a child. And it was always that piece of, you know, get into a career that I could look after myself, do something that I was passionate about, but also have that that retirement, and to walk away from, like, to step
security.
away from that security piece. That was a challenge for me. That was probably the biggest thing. And
I think you still renew your teaching license every year.
Of course I am. I'm a teacher.
She's like, I love this guy, but if all else fails, my plan C. That's it. Do you really renew your license every year?
I do, but it's not actually because
it's been 10 years.
No, but it's not actually because of that. I'd like to have it because I still love to make a difference with children, and I could see myself. I want to have that door open, that if I ever have, when the opportunity arises, that I want to walk back into a school and still volunteer or still do programs with kids to, you know, to have an impact on people's health and nutrition. That's important to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's Warren, if we go back again into this, the early days, because a lot of people who are, you know, again, we're talking about, I don't want COVID to be part of the conversation, but, you know, COVID, let's say this experience of massive change is happening to people every single day and has done for the last millennium, right? In other words, stuff happens. The world changes. The world. That's why I just did a show, my solo show, actually probably the week we air this, is all about the new normal. I just dislike that word. I don't like normal as a way of being, and certainly the new normal. It's like, hey, the world is always in flux. There's always changing. Like you right now, I mean, your profession, the network marketing profession, is constantly in flux. It's constantly changing. You look at the advent of social media, you look at the advent of virtual training, of global virtual training. I mean, so your skill sets are constantly being refined, and you're letting go of old ways of doing the business and moving into new ways. Talk a little bit about that. And you went through that with your clothing business, is that, you know, you hit the Chinese wall and that you weren't able to adapt at that time and change because, and I think a lot of people are stuck. They're stuck in doing the same thing over and over and over again and hoping or wishing for something to be different, but not actually taking a stance to step out of what they're doing and creating a new future. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I love that word pivot. And I think if we had known more about pivoting in the time of the clothing business, you know, we might not have had to have shut it down. We might have pivoted and gone with the times, because the world is always changing. And I think that's a big one right now with people. There's so many people that maybe they're not able to continue to do things the way they once did it, but it doesn't mean that they can't do it, but we have to pivot and be creative. And so do you want to speak?
Yeah, so you're right, Dave. It is about shifting, because everything's in movement. And I would say back then, when I was fighting to survive because of this clothing business and my obligations, I was blessed to get introduced to this profession, and it allowed me to make a little money on the side. And at this point, I wasn't taking it seriously. I mean, it was great. It was paying for our products, fantastic. But then what ended up happening is it started to grow. And what's so exciting about this profession is when you start impacting lives and then you feel the excitement of those people, it's so easy to keep nurturing it. And then it started to grow some more. And what I would say I really love about it is people can be in a position right now where they feel stuck, where business-wise, they don't feel like they have any options. They can't let down their family, their employees, whatever it may be. They're locked in. But what I'm here to say is there's a profession called network marketing that you can get involved in, do your obligations, whatever they may be, and start to create this alternative income on the side. And I'm telling you, you can do that while you do whatever your full-time job is. You can fit network marketing into the nooks and crannies of your life and all of a sudden start to create this residual income that, you know, in time can just replace your full-time income and much, much more.
And I just want to add to that, you just used the term like fit it into the nooks and crannies of your life. But I also want to say that it's not just wake up in the morning and just let it happen whenever. It's really about scheduling it in.
Well, you have to be intentional, of course.
Yeah, to schedule it in and be consistent every day on making time for it.
I got a couple of questions that came up as you were sharing that, which I don't normally ask these questions, but why is it that network marketing is arguably one of the highest paid professions in the world? I mean, you've made a cumulatively $10 million, but now you're sort of around that 7-figure income per year. And knowing that I know your path, I know the company you're with, I know the products you're with and the innovation that the company's going through in this time of change. The company's also going through change. But, you know, arguably your income could double. It could be, you know, 2 million a year or 4 million. And there is no ceiling because of some philosophies and principles of great companies. Now, remember, there's some crappy companies out there, like every other profession, but there's some truly great companies out there that subscribe to this profession. But why is it, explain it to the novice. I know the answer, but why is it that people have the chance or potential, regardless of what their profession was, whether they were a teacher or a clothes salesman, right? That they can really move themselves from where they're at to be able to create these extraordinary incomes. I'm talking about multiple 6 or 7 figure incomes. How does that work? Why are people in this profession, the ones who treat it like a profession, going back to Arlene's point, that is a really, when we treat it like a profession, it pays us like a professional, no doubt. But what is it, Warren, that allows this to become, with those people who treat it like a profession, some of the highest paid people on the planet?
Why is it? Well,
what makes it work? What's the secret? Why does network marketing?
It's you're building networks. Okay, initially when you get involved in this profession, you have someone else try the products. You get a small little percentage. Our company, we get 6%, and I mean 6% of $100, $6. Who cares? Even you have 100 people, right? And that's $6. Okay, so now it's $600 again. Like it seems insignificant at the time, and when you look at the effort that goes in to create that in the time, people go, it's not worth it. But what happens over the time, when it goes from 100 people to 1,000 people or 10,000 people, all of a sudden, $6 from 10,000 people, let me tell you, is significant. And what I love is when people realize their opportunity, and they really capture it, like they just go, oh my goodness, I can do this. Magic happens. They become unstoppable. And I can think about my journey, like linking arms with different individuals from different professions. I mean, I have massage therapists that have earned over $1 million a year, physiotherapists. I have a liquor distribution guy. I have a gold medalist, Olympian, athletes that have done it, gym owners that are earning over $1 million a year. I mean, I have a forklift driver, a guy that used to work in a warehouse, David, driving a forklift and linking arms with this individual. He was, 24 at the time, turning 25. And, by the time he was 30, incredibly successful, earning just under $1 million a year. And that's pretty cool.
And don't forget about the teachers and the moms.
And the teachers.
I was about to say exactly the same thing. What about all these stay-home moms and these mothers and these teachers, right?
From all walks of life. And that's what's so exciting is I'll share from our organization. I mean, we're blessed, over 500,000 people in our downline.
Warren, can I just interject for something? Because I want the people to understand that it wasn't just us out finding that number of people, because that would seem crazy. Like, I can't do that. The beautiful thing with network marketing is you share it with, you keep sharing and you keep sharing and you share it with so many people, but then those people start sharing and sharing and sharing. And so you can't do it by yourself. You have to have this team and you have to work together. And that's,
yeah. And Arlene, to Arlene's point though, Warren, it's not like everyone shares equally. There are some people, a lot of people who come in who, let's call them a customer, product user, who may only share with one other person. But that one other person could share with thousands or could share with 10. And those 10 people out of one of those could become a full-time network marketer. Well, that's the crazy thing, right?
And I just want to interject, because if we do have some people that are watching this video and are wanting to build their network marketing business, don't get caught up in the that you only work with the people that you personally introduce to your company. Don't do that. Massive mistake. And sometimes compensation plans are designed where maybe only 4 levels down you should focus. Forget that, okay? If you want to build a massive residual income that's going to pay you for the rest of your life, work with anyone in your downline. What you want to do is look for the people that are hungry, that have that burning desire, and link arms with them, support them, encourage them, speak belief into them, and help them grow. And because of the compensation plan, it's going to elevate your business as well. And that's a mistake that a lot of people have seen in the past, where they only work with the people that they personally brought in, because someone that you bring in, David, well, that's your person. You work with them. No, I mean, you may be busy doing whatever you're doing, the real estate developments, the different things like that, that you don't have time to work with them. And here's this individual that's raising their hand, and you're not going to work with them? Are you crazy? I mean, introduce me. I'll work with them.
Yeah.
And that's how our team was built, Dave, because now we're global. We're around the world. And so when I look at I'll just take one segment of our business. So when I look at just the Australian segment of it, it didn't get started in our business because of somebody that we enrolled. It didn't even get started from the person that we enrolled. It was like somebody enrolled. And then all of a sudden, we could see that there was activity, and we started to work with them, and other people within our team worked with them too. And all of a sudden now we have this massive organization down in Australia. But one of the beautiful things is, as we've grown this business in North America and around the globe, are the people that we've had the opportunity to meet. And, you know, it's such a blessing, because some of our best friends now have come from us saying yes to this network marketing industry. Yeah. And that's a lot of fun.
And that's the other thing. I just want one other point, Dave. I know you're going to say something, but
no, it's fine.
Some of our best friends are within our company and outside our company, and actual other network marketing companies have become dear, dear friends. I mean, I just had a call from the top money earner of another network marketing company based out of the UK. And Wes and I are chatting back and forth, and I'd encourage him and give him ideas to support him in his success. And likewise, he'd do the exact same thing for me. And
and that is the beauty of our profession is, I mean, whether it's inside the company or outside the company, if you really are a true professional network marketer, we know there's no secrets. It's like in most other professions, you kind of want to have the edge. That's why people, you know, patent things. And that's why, you know, you protect things, and all these different things you do legally to try and protect an idea so no one would steal it. In our profession, we give that's why we do these shows, so that people can listen to all your secrets can be shared, because there are no secrets. And we want the profession as a whole to blossom. And so by you connecting with Wes and you having that deep conversation and you coaching each other and also pushing each other, the whole profession does better because of those relationships. And talking to relationships, I'm going to ask you a question, Arlene. You know, when we look at what happens, when you started out, and we go back to the sort of, you know, the pressure, we haven't talked about what you endured. And do you mind if I bring that up?
No, not at all.
Mother of 3, I think your youngest at the time, who I'm in love with, Caden. I mean, he was what, 4 or 5 or 6 at the time?
6 months.
6 months. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's how young. But you were diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, right? And it was a battle that, again, I know the language is so important to you. I love the way you approached it, but the way you approached it was you were never sick. It was a lot of this up here, the mindset, but the fact you were in this profession and surrounded by so many other people, and then it wasn't a journey you went down once, you went down the road twice, you know, because it came back a second time, I believe. I thought you had a second. Okay. So the first time, but talk a little bit about that, about, you know, the fact that when residual income is present in a family's life and they have to, you know, something like that comes from, you know, it just shows up. And it's all consuming, not just for you, but for Warren and for the children and for, you know, you as a family unit. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was it like to have this one thing, not a challenge? You know, the financial house wasn't something that was consumed. When you had to go to somewhere, Warren could stand with you and be with you. He didn't have to be at a job. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was, seriously, when I think back to it, I don't know. I mean, obviously I would have done what I needed to do, but it was just so amazing to be in that situation where I was diagnosed with stage 3 aggressive breast cancer, have 3 children, had to travel to Vancouver, which is a 2-hour ferry ride, and then getting to my appointments. And I had to do that twice out of a month. And so at that time in our life, we had family and friends that were surrounded by us. They took care of my kids, and we were really blessed with that. But Warren was able to be there, and he was able to be my rock. When you go to appointments like that, as much as you think you're alert and you're hearing everything that they're telling you, you walk out and, you know, you only remember half the conversations. And it was so beautiful to have his ears, his knowledge, his heart, his support. He was my rock through all of that. And to be able to be in a situation where, you know, with network marketing, you know, for in our company, we get paid every week, and to have that financial piece and the freedom piece for him to be with me was just remarkable.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, Dave, to be at all those appointments, to be 100% present for Arlene, and not have to be thinking about, okay, I missed some work, I'm this, I'm that. That wasn't part of it all. And what a blessing. Like, what a blessing.
Yeah.
And this was in the early stages. This wasn't when we had financial freedom, because we experienced, like, we were only 6 months into the build, right? But there was still money coming in every week, and it was making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Well, you know, I mean, it's in twofold, Arlene. One of the things was, you know, the residual income aspect, but the other thing was your mindset. And you'd been working already on, and you've been going to personal development. And I think that what I love most about our profession is that the focus on growing, and I'm going to sort of, before we get to the end of this call, which we don't have too long, is this idea of growing, you know, growing ourselves, you know, into greater parents, greater friends, greater lovers, greater, all these different things that we can grow into and expand into. But I know that you were doing, prior to that, quite a lot of work on what's going on right here between the mind. And when you got that call, I remember the day that you heard Warren, I remember you called me and you and I had that conversation when you first heard that your wife had stage 3 aggressive breast cancer, just having that conversation with you. But Arlene, your mindset and the words that you allowed to be spoken around you and your conviction. Can you talk a little bit about what's that?
I think that's important. Share that.
I had to straighten you out one day.
I know, on stage. I said something like, yeah, she was, what's that?
I will share that, what I said to you that day, but I want to just start with, you know, personal development, working on yourself, working on your mind. I had no idea that we all have chatter in our head. We all have negative thoughts that cross our mind. Every single one of us, it doesn't matter how successful you are, how old you are, how young you are, we just do. And I always felt like once I got immersed in personal development, I learned that was, we use that word normal again, like it happens with everybody. But until then, I didn't know that. And I didn't know that I could have a thought cross my mind and just say, stop, I'm going to replace that thought with a more positive version or a different positive thought. And one of the things when I got diagnosed with stage 3 aggressive breast cancer was I just made a stance for myself. And I don't know, I was just standing there in a parking lot after I had got my full diagnosis, and tears running down our faces, and, you know, just taking that all in. And then I just took a stance. I was going to be okay. I had to do the work. I had to put the time in. And, you know, it's not that I just lived on this 100% positive, you know, just thought positive things and it was easy. No, there was really challenging moments. But one of the things that I really applied to my life was, you know, there were moments where I was sad. There was moments where I was afraid. There was moments where I was so scared. And so I call that, like, there's like a line, and above the line were like happy, joyful, positive. And below the line are all those negative things, you know, scared, fear, all of that kind of stuff. And I lived like this, but the piece that I really learned to do was, it's the time that you allow yourself to be below the line. So, yep, I had wall kicking moments. Yes, I cried. Yes, I was fearful, but I didn't allow myself to stay there. I would feel it. I would like take it in. And as soon as I could, I would get above that line again. And, you know, sometimes it was, you know, writing out my gratitude. Sometimes it was just, you know, one of the courses we took, Dave, they gave us an elastic band, and every time a negative thought crossed our mind, we'd snap it. So I didn't have the band on anymore, but when I went to those below the line moments, I would just say snap. I would just say it, snap. and I would make myself go above the line. And it's that, I'm going to use the word, it's that simple, but it's not that simple. But you just have to make the choice. You have to just choose that enough is enough. Get above the line. We all have life happen to us. You know, I had stage 3 breast cancer. Other people have lost loved ones. People have accidents. Like there's all kinds, people lose jobs. There's all kinds of, life is always sending us curveballs and always sending us things. And if you can ask yourself, what is it that I'm meant to learn in that moment? There were lessons that I was meant to learn on that journey of breast cancer. But I'll tell you this, it wasn't just what I was meant to learn on that journey. There were lessons that were for everybody around me. There was lessons for my husband. There was lessons for you, Dave, my friend. There was lessons for my mother and my father and my friends. And this is what I said to everybody. Learn your lessons, because I'm not doing this again for you. I'm not. I'm going to learn my lessons.
And lessons for your kids too. I mean, I just remember they were traveling that road with you, right?
Absolutely, they were. And you know, things still come up today because it was part of our journey. But learn them and then move on from there, and don't get stuck in it.
Share the point again, because I think this is very valid for many of us, just mindset wise, where David, you call him out and you said something. Well, remember where you wouldn't be accepting of someone saying
we were on David's condo on the ski mountain, and you referred to me as being sick, and I just stopped you and I said, I'm not sick. Like I just wouldn't be accepting of that. And we have to be so careful of the language that we are putting out and the language that we're allowing in. Yeah. And so, you know, like I said, we've all got that negative mind chatter going on, but we also have the ability to say, stop. Yeah. I'm not allowing it in.
It's interesting, Arlene. So 2 nights ago, I got a call from a friend of mine who's just been, the diagnosis is he has 2 years, right? And he's been through a battle over the last 1.5 years. But it's interesting how that lesson plays out in my head, because, you know, my friends that are going through anything like this, I feel like I'm stronger and I'm able to help them with their own language and their own ability to navigate it because of that moment or those times. And it wasn't the only time you corrected me. I was on stage, I think, in front of 5,000 or 6,000 people, and I said something about you, and you corrected me on stage as well, because I said something flippant like, oh yeah, she was dying of something. I mean, it's like, you're like, whoa, stop, you know, in front of the whole audience. So yeah, you called me out a few times. Before we've got a few minutes left here, and I just want to end on something, and I'd love to come back. And Arlene, this is a conversation you and I could have a whole show on, because I think so many people, whether they're, like you said, whether they're dealing with loss, or whether they're dealing with an accident, or maybe they've lost a limb, or they've, you know, woken up a paraplegic, whatever it is, we're all in a journey, and those journeys, those curveballs are always coming in, and how you navigated that one part of your life is really now applied to all of the parts of your life. You know, it's not like this is reserved for the C word. This is something that you can apply to every single challenge you face. And that's why I believe, you know, when I say people use the word angel around you, I think it's because you do flow beautifully through challenges. Warren, I want to sort of look at the byproduct of this profession. And when I think about it, you two are building, and can I mention how much you've spent on your house? Is that right?
Yeah, we don't have to go there. You can just say
millions and millions. Can I say that, right? But you're building a dream home, and it really is. It's an architectural masterpiece built in the most gorgeous setting and an unusual setting, arguably one of the most beautiful settings possibly in the world as far as where you live. And that's one byproduct of this profession is fulfilling and living dreams. The other one, which I find interesting, is part of that is that because you believe in multiple streams of income and because of the people you've met and the mindset you've both cultivated, you've also invested and become an avid investor in new technologies, and you're in the forefront. So you're bringing the lessons from your network marketing business, and it's opened up this world of new possibilities where, you know, potentially tens or hundreds of millions of dollars can be earned by your family because of the door opening. Now, imagine if you had stayed in that business and Arlene had stayed as a teacher, and that you were every day 14, 15 hours grunting it out, you know, and flying over, doing your shoots, you know, building your catalog, selling, and going through that. But I look at the journey and how the doors have opened for you both, not only in living the dream life and the ripple effect of some of our closest friends who watching you are now following that same path and building and designing their own dream homes and investing and open up these doors. Can you sort of end with this thing about who you've become, both of you, because of the profession, not what you've earned, not the millions of dollars, but who you've become and how the world, it's almost like the vista of the world has opened up and the possibility to create anything is now there because of this journey called network marketing.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable when you actually think about it, Dave. It's like, pinch me, is it real? But it has. It's sort of from this profession who I've become. Like, we're all evolving, and because of the income that I have generated, it has allowed me to invest in different opportunities, but it's also allowed me to meet some really incredible human beings, and some of them, I mean, it's like, you know, I won't. I'll just say one of the NHL hockey player guys that owners of a team that's won multiple Stanley Cups. I mean, our paths crossed at a golf tournament. So I'm at a charity golf tournament, and anyways, because of my mastery in connect with this individual roundabout. He's now down in excess of 30 pounds, and we've created this amazing relationship, and just the opportunities from that and the introductions, it is really quite remarkable. But it's the skills you develop, it's the conversations, it's learning to listen. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges is early on. I mean, I would be so much thinking about what.
He never listened when I first met him, I promise. He didn't have, I actually believed he was deaf.
But these skills that you develop, you can take outside this profession, and people want you to be involved. People want you there because you just listen with a different ear. And when we do open up and ask questions or comment, for whatever reason, they're valued. And it is. This profession grows amazing human beings. I've seen it over and over again, and it's really exciting.
Yeah,
and Arlene, I just want to end with you. I'm going to say, because we want to sort of wrap this up. So I'm going to actually, you can continue on with the answer to that question, but I want to ask you to sort of just a closing thought or comment to anyone sitting there right now, because we know that the majority of people who look at this never ever step fully in. Many quit along the way. And normally at the first or second sort of hurdle, which is normally at the sound of other people's voices saying no to them, is enough for people to sort of steer away from their dreams. But I just want to sort of say, if you want to sort of touch on who you've become, but then also maybe tie a bow on this for everyone listening as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the gifts that I think I want to just share along the ways is so many people, when you were just talking about people stopping, is I think people think that if they have one or two conversations, that's the business, and it's not. You just have to keep sharing and talking, and it takes multiple conversations. Sometimes people aren't ready to, like, I mean, when Warren got the first phone call, he jumped in and ordered the products, but that's not the norm. Sometimes it takes people months, sometimes it's even years. It has to be their right time. And so when you have a gift like we have to just keep sharing and sharing. And then, you know, with the personal development piece and who I've become, you know, what I've really learned is that who I am today has always been inside me, but through the journey of personal development and, you know, the people we've met along the journey and the beautiful company that we're with, you know, I've learned to recognize and see and allow what's been inside me to come out. And so I believe that it always comes back down to love and heart. And so, you know, when I dealt with my breast cancer, you know, it's coming from a place of heart and love. And when it's dealing with people in relationships, everybody's dealing with different things. So it's always just coming from that place of love and heart with people and business. And I think that's one of my biggest gifts.
Yeah, love is so underestimated in so many ways. And anyone who's done the work we have and enjoys the life. I mean, you were just at my house a few days ago, and I think Warren, you were sitting exactly where I'm sitting right now in my living room, and you just talked about how blessed we are, right? What a blessed life we lead. And I would say that for both of us, all three of us actually, is just because we look at this profession as being the catalyst of this blessed life, because, for me personally, this profession opened up all the doors of that, and the connections with, with you as friends and the friends of friends that we all share, right? So thank you so much. I'd love to do another show with you. There's just so many ways, so much more we can talk about. I really enjoyed the chat. I felt like we were catching up. It's so
Yeah.
and for everyone listening, this show's called My Extra Mile. It's about those small incremental steps. Warren and Arlene's success didn't happen overnight. It happened through, a daily process of small incremental understandings and growths and hurdles and failing forward. We talked about failing forward, about not quitting. Little tiny things compound, and they're the beautiful thing about the compound effect, whether it's money or whether it's knowledge. But when we start to compound these things, they start to expand. And so when we look at the beautiful life that you both lead, and all over the world, with friends over the world, with the things you're building and designing, and the way you enjoy your free time, that's the power of compounding effect. Over the last, how many years has it been, Warren? 17, 16 years?
17 years.
17 years. So you're an overnight success over 17 years. I want to thank you so much. I love our friendship. I love the fact that we get to hang out. Warren, you and I are talking about our next adventure, maybe a guy's trip somewhere. So I'm excited about that. Arlene, thank you so much for your heart, your passion, who you are. What'd you say?
We're going on a Mexican adventure.
Let's go climb a mountain again, Dave.
All right. Love you both.
See you guys.
Love you too.